The colony of Arinder 9 was not meant to be permanent. When the first Terran vessels landed on its rust-colored plains, the mission logs described it as a forward-listening post, a quiet foothold at the edge of mapped space. The system's star burned dim and steady, and the planet itself had thin air, mineral-rich soil, and a sky the color of fading embers. We were not there to conquer. We were there to listen. I was 28 when I signed on as xenolinguistic analyst for the Arinder Initiative. My job was simple in theory: monitor anomalous signals, decipher patterns, and determine whether the faint pulses we detected beyond the Kuiper frontier were natural phenomena or something more deliberate. For 5 years, they were nothing. Static. Solar drift. Intermittent interference. Then one night, everything changed. I was alone in the comms array when the signal arrived, layered harmonics structured too precisely to be random. It wasn't a broadcast in any known spectrum. It was a braided frequency, modulating gravitational ripples and electromagnetic pulses simultaneously. It was a greeting. I spent 72 sleepless hours translating it into something we could parse. The syntax was recursive, the meaning embedded in tonal intervals. But one concept repeated over and over. Witness. We were not alone. The being who eventually stepped through the distortion field outside Arinder 9 did not arrive in a ship. She arrived as if space parted for her. Her name, as best I could render it in human phonetics, was Sereth Vaylor. She was not armed. She was not afraid. And she did not look like anything humanity had prepared for. Her form shimmered with faint bioluminescent currents beneath translucent silver skin. Her eyes were deep cobalt, flecked with starlight. When she moved, the air bent slightly around her, as though reality adjusted to accommodate her presence. I was assigned as first contact liaison. "You are the one who listened," she said during our second exchange. Her voice did not travel through air alone. It resonated in the bones of my skull, harmonizing with my thoughts. I translated. I corrected. You understood. There was a difference. Over the next 6 months, Sereth visited frequently. Not always physically. Sometimes she manifested as projected light through our arrays, but she returned. Her people called themselves the Lethari. They did not claim territory. They did not build empires. They traveled between dimensions, not stars, observing civilizations at critical junctures. "You are on the threshold," she once told me. Of what? Becoming something else. Our conversations shifted from linguistics to philosophy, from philosophy to personal history. I told her about Earth's fractured past. She told me about the Lethari's burden, their existence intertwined with the fabric of space-time itself. "You are curious," she said once. "So are you. I am studying your species." "And me?" Her gaze held mine longer than protocol allowed. "Yes." It would have been easy to label what grew between us as infatuation, the novelty of alien presence, the isolation of frontier life. But it was not novelty. It was recognition. She saw the parts of me no human colleague ever bothered to notice, the hesitation before I spoke, the patterns I traced in silence, the quiet fear that humanity might not survive its own ambitions. "You are more than your species," she once said softly. "And you?" I asked. "I am bound to mine." There were rules, she explained. The Lethari did not entangle themselves deeply with developing civilizations. Observation only, guidance at a distance, never attachment. I should have known what that meant. The day she stopped coming, there was no warning, no farewell, just absence. Our sensors detected no distortion fields, no trace of Lethari presence. She was gone. Earth Command sealed the Arinder Initiative within the year. The project was labeled inconclusive. Funding shifted elsewhere. I returned to Earth with a commendation and a silence that followed me like a shadow. I never told anyone how deeply it cut. I assumed I would never see her or her kind again. I was wrong. Middle, the child with starlit eyes. 15 years later, humanity expanded farther than anyone predicted. Trade corridors opened. Diplomatic pacts formed. And then the Lethari reappeared, not as solitary observers, but as official envoys. They arrived at the Galactic Convergence Summit in neutral space, stunning every delegation present. I was invited as historical liaison, not because I was important, but because I remembered. The summit took place aboard the massive station Aegis Prime, orbiting a white dwarf star whose light bathed the hull in perpetual twilight. Delegations from 23 species attended, and among the Lethari I saw her. Sereth Valor. She stood near the central chamber's edge, her silver form radiant against the dark backdrop. She had not aged. Or perhaps her species aged differently. Our eyes met across the chamber. The world narrowed. For a moment, I was 28 again, standing beneath a rust-colored sky. But she did not approach. Instead, she turned slightly, and I saw the child beside her. The girl looked perhaps 8 years old by human standards, though her features bore the unmistakable hallmarks of the Lethari. Silver skin, bioluminescent currents tracing delicate patterns along her arms. But her eyes were not cobalt. They were gray, human gray. The child's gaze locked onto mine, and she smiled. Later that evening, I found myself walking alone along Aegis Prime's observation ring when I heard soft footsteps behind me. I turned. The child stood there. No escort. No guards. "You are Adrian Cole," she said. I swallowed. Yes. She studied me as if confirming a hypothesis. "My mother knows you, human." The corridor seemed to tilt. "Your mother?" I asked carefully. She nodded. Sereth Valor. Her name struck like a gravitational wave. I looked past the child, half expecting Sereth to emerge. No one came. "What did she tell you?" I managed. "That you listen," the child replied. "That you hear what others miss." Her voice carried the same harmonic undertone Sereth's once had. "What is your name?" I asked. "Lysera." The syllables resonated faintly. "And why are you speaking to me alone, Lysera?" "Because you are afraid." The bluntness startled me. "I'm not afraid." "You are." She stepped closer. "You fear that my existence changes something."
It did.
"Lysera," I said slowly, "are you?" "Part human," she finished calmly. The air thinned in my lungs. "Yes." She tilted her head. "I am Lethari," she said. "But my mother says I carry an echo." An echo. My pulse pounded in my ears. "When were you born?" I asked. 9 cycles ago.
9.
After Sereth vanished from Arinder, 9. After the months we spent talking beneath alien skies. "You did not know," Lysera said quietly. It wasn't a question. "No," I admitted. Behind her, the soft shimmer of distortion signaled Sereth's arrival. She stepped into view, more solid than memory. "Adrian," she said. The years between us compressed into a single heartbeat. "You left," I said, unable to stop the accusation. "I was recalled," she replied gently. "Intervention protocols shifted. And you never thought to tell me you were carrying." "Our union was not planned," she interrupted softly, "nor fully understood." Union. We had never named it, but we had crossed lines. Lines that Lethari law apparently forbade. "You broke your own rules," I said. "Yes." "And you didn't think I deserved to know?" Her eyes flickered, with something like regret. Attachment to developing species is forbidden, she said. Hybridization, even more so. Lysra looked between us. I was concealed, she added matter-of-factly. Until now. Why reveal her? I demanded. Saratha's gaze hardened slightly. Because the Lethari are divided. The political weight behind her words became clear. Lysra represents a threshold, she continued. Proof that our species can merge with others. And that's controversial. Profoundly. I crouched to meet Lysra's gaze. Why did you tell me? I asked. She smiled faintly. Because my mother knows you. The simplicity of it shattered me. Fracture. The Convergence Summit shifted tone within days. Rumors spread quickly among diplomatic channels. A hybrid Lethery human child. A violation of ancient non-entanglement codes. Hardliners within the Lethari delegation demanded Lysra's removal from public visibility. Some factions within humanity demanded genetic rights and claims. It was chaos disguised as diplomacy. Sarath requested a private meeting in a secured chamber. You understand the danger now, she said. Yes, I replied. To her. To all of us. What do you want from me? She hesitated, something I had never seen her do before. Stand with us. Us meaning you and Lysra? Yes. I laughed bitterly. You vanished for 15 years. To protect you. From what? From Lethari enforcement. The word chilled me. You were monitored after my departure, she continued. Your proximity to me placed you under scrutiny. If they discovered Lysra earlier, they might have erased the connection. Erased. My mind reeled. You thought distance would keep us safe, I said. Yes. And now? Now hiding her invites worse consequences. Lysra entered quietly during our exchange. They want to study me, she said calmly. Saratha's jaw tightened. Some do, she admitted. Like an experiment? I asked. Like a solution, Lysra replied. Her composure unnerved me. You don't seem scared, I said gently. I am curious, she answered. About what comes next. I saw myself in her then, the relentless need to understand. The summit's final assembly convened 3 days later. The Lethari High Speaker addressed the chamber. Hybridization between Lethari and emergent species violates containment doctrine, the speaker declared. Such entanglements risk destabilizing dimensional equilibrium. Sarath stepped forward. Lysra is not destabilization, she said. She is evolution. Murmurs rippled through every delegation. A human ambassador leaned toward me. Is she yours? He whispered. Yes, I said without hesitation. The admission sent a shockwave through the hall. The High Speaker's gaze locked onto me. You claim paternal connection? I do. And accept the consequences? I looked at Lysra. At Sarath. At every level. Silence stretched long and taut. Lysra stepped forward unexpectedly. I am not in error, she said, her young voice carrying surprising authority. I am both. The lights flickered subtly as her bioluminescent patterns intensified. I hear your dimensions, she continued. And I hear humanity. The chamber's instruments began registering gravitational anomalies. Not destructive. Harmonic. She was resonating with both spectra simultaneously. The High Speaker's composure cracked. This has never been observed, he murmured. Saratha's voice softened. She bridges. And in that moment I understood. Lysra was not merely a child born of forbidden attachment. She was proof that isolation was obsolete. Ending. The future we chose. The debate that followed lasted 18 hours. Some Lethari argued for exile, others for integration. Human delegates argued for shared guardianship, scientific exchange, protection treaties. Through it all, Lysra sat quietly beside me, fingers wrapped around mine. Finally, the high speaker delivered the decision. Lysra Valercole shall not be concealed nor dissected, he said. She will remain under joint guardianship. A new status was drafted on the spot. Bridgeborn, a designation acknowledging dual heritage and diplomatic significance. It was imperfect. It was unprecedented, but it was acceptance. After the assembly dispersed, I found myself alone with Sereth beneath Aegis Prime's observation dome. The white dwarf star cast long, pale shadows across her silver form. You changed everything, I said softly.
So did you, she replied.
I would have come, I admitted, if you had told me. I know, she said, and that is why I did not. A faint smile touched her lips. You always listened, she added, and you always left me wanting answers. She stepped closer. I will not leave again. The weight of 15 lost years lingered between us, but it no longer felt like accusation. It felt like history. Lysra joined us moments later, slipping her small hand into mine and her other into Sereth's. Will we live in one place? She asked. No, Sereth said gently. We will live in many. Lysra looked up at me. Will you teach me Earth skies? Yes, I said. And you'll teach me the spaces between dimensions.
She grinned.
My mother said you would say that. I met Sereth's gaze. She talks about me often. She remembers you constantly. The words healed something I hadn't realized was still open. As Aegis Prime drifted in silent orbit, I understood that the child's simple statement had been true in more ways than one. My mother knows you, human, not as a curiosity, not as an experiment, but as someone who mattered. Lysra was not an accident. She was a convergence, and her existence forced two civilizations to confront what they feared most. Connection. The future would not be simple. Bridgeborn status would invite scrutiny. Politics would churn. Old doctrines would resist. But the path forward had shifted irrevocably, because a child spoke the truth in a quiet corridor. And I listened. Again.